chairman and 4 directors, leading to the signing of a memorandum of agreement between the union, the board, management, and the county government representative. Of the invited witnesses in regard to the issues affecting EWASCO, the committee observed the following. Honorable members are issued to this. That the county government, and particularly the CEC member in charge of water, was interfering and meddling with the operations of EWASCO in the following ways. One, indicating that EWASCO was a section of our area of operations and demanding explanations on deployment of human resource manager, Mrs. Mary Muguera. Two, the committee made observations that not respecting the semi-autonomy of the company and enshrined in the existing laws, also the CEC was interfering in coercing the chairman of the board to include the agenda of the transfer of the human resource manager in full board meeting held on 10th of November 2021. She also interfered in causing a scene during the stakeholders meeting held on 19th of July 2021 to validate a strategic plan which almost caused a premature end of the meeting. The committee observed that the CEC was interfering in accusing the company of not involving her in the preparation of a strategic plan. Yet, her representatives, the chief of water, was fully and actively involved in the process of preparations of the strategic plan. The other involvement was that in procedurally demanding that the county secretary, CEC member for finance, and herself be involved in the conducting appraisals of the managing director and the members of corporate management team, CMT. The committee made another observation that there was poor working relationship between the chairman and the board of the directors, as evidenced by correspondences between the two, e.g., on the issue of which advocates firm should represent the company in court regarding petition number E006 of 2021. Observation number 3, the committee observed that the board of directors did not follow the lead-down procedures in the suspension of the managing director, as outlined in section 713 of Embu Water and Sanitation Company Human Resource Policy and Procedure Manual of 2021. And also, the committee observed that the board of directors issued the letter of suspension of managing director on 15th of October 2021, and on the same day, they appointed his replacement, Mr. CPA Dixon Njiru. Committee made observation that the board of directors was interfering with the operations of managing director and other members of corporate management team in the following ways. One, and procedurally issuing instructions to Ms. Joe Kabogo Advocate to represent the company and the 5 directors in the court case regarding petition 006 of 2021, who was not in the list of pre-qualified suppliers of legal services for financial year 2021-2022. Another observation that the board of directors was interfering in the operation of managing director is that and procedurally instructing the managing director not to attend managing director's retreat organized by WASPA in Mombasa, reversing the deployment of human resource manager, Mrs. Mary Muguera, contrary to the provision of section 23510 of the EWASCO Human Resource Policy and Procedure Manual. Again, by demanding to conduct performance appraisal on the members of corporate management team, contrary to the provision of section 1012 of the EWASCO Human Resource Policy and Procedure Manual. Another observation was that there was no corroborating evidence to prove that the managing director was behind the petition case number E006 of 2021, and the committee observed that the affidavit presented by the chair of the board was not signed by the director. Observation number 7 is that the accusation leading to the suspension of the managing director were not substantiated, and the committee observed the following. That 1, lack of attendance to the board meetings. The managing director had advised the chairman of the board to stick to the scheduled board meetings by the board, but the board continued to hold irregular meetings and demanding payment for the meetings not budgeted for. Observation again number B is that the letter to the board board members giving the reasons for the cancellation of the retreat was availed to the committee, and you can refer to annexure number 13. Refusal to write instruction to supply defense document to legal counsel Mr. Joe Gadogo. The committee observed that Joe Gadogo advocates appointed by the chairman of the board to represent the company and 5 directors in the court case regarding petition number E006 was not in the list of the qualified suppliers of legal services for the financial year 2021-2022. On financial impropriety, payment for demonstration of Kenya shillings 200,000, the committee observed that there was no evidence to prove that the managing director funded demonstrations on 22nd of September 2021. The committee also observed that the full details was not provided to support the voucher amounting to Kenya shillings 200,000 signed by the managing director. The attached list was amounting to Kenya shillings 52,000 only. That the union branch secretary, through the managing director, had requested for the advance of Kenya shillings 100,000 to finance branch activities 2 days before the demonstrations happened by a letter that was written to EWASCO as annexed in annexure 38 of the report. That the union branch secretary, by a letter that was dated 15th of September 2021, had requested for facilitation of lunch and its members to its members on 23rd of September 2021 during a meeting to discuss collective bargaining agreement CPA as annexed in annexure 39 of this report. On insubordination, refusal to respect instruction by the board not to attend Mombasa retreat, the committee observed that the meeting was operational in nature and had already been approved by the board through the budget. The managing director or any other member of the management do not need additional approval of the board to attend operational meetings. On continued absenteeism from the work while attending a Mombasa retreat, that is from 4th to 9th of October 2021, the committee observed that on the same days the managing director was attending the retreat, which was within his duties. Observation number 8 is that on the issue of qualification of EWASCO Board of Directors, there was an active case at High Court of Kenya at Embu, and the County Assembly, pursuant to Standing Order number 99, matters of Judicial or Secret of County Assembly of Embu Standing Orders, cannot deliberate on its merits or otherwise. And observation number 9, and the committee observed that the Board of Directors had held more than 6 sittings during the period between July and October 2021, contrary to section 373 of WASREP Corporate Governance Guidelines 2018, which states that unless extra meetings and agenda are communicated and agreed functionally within the county water department, and recommended best practice is not to exceed 6 board meetings in a year. And between July and October, they had already exceeded 6. That observation number 10, that the managing director was planning to conduct a human resource audit in the human resource department to improve operations. And observation number 11 is that the deployment of human resource manager, Ms. Mary Mugwera, was in accordance with the provision of section 235.10b of the EWASCO Human Resource Policy and Procedure Manual, which gives the managing director leeway to deploy any member of staff without substantially affecting the terms of service. Observation number 12, that human resource manager Ms. Mary Mugwera did not use proper channel to lodge an appeal for deployment as stipulated in section 723 of the EWASCO Human Resource and Procedure Manual of 2021. I'm almost there, Honorable Speaker. That on observation number 13, the human resource manager, Mrs. Mary Mugwera, did not report to her duty station after her deployment is 10th. She chose to remain in the office despite being issued with a reminder letter by the managing director. Observation number 14 is that the human resource system used by the EWASCO could be manipulated as evidenced by the claim by the former MD, Engineer Karogendo, on leave days, which could not be justified. Observation number 15 is that the minutes of the full board meetings held on 10th of September 2020 were not availed to the committee until now. Observation number 16, that the chairman of the board did not provide the following additional information despite promising to avail them to the committee. Number 1, minutes of the board meetings held on 21st of July and 10th September of 2021. Number 2, pre-qualified lawyers of the company for financial year 2021-2022. Those ones were not availed to the committee until now. 26 of EWASCO Human Resource and Procedure Manual of 2021. Now, therefore, the committee made the following recommendations. I want to take some more time to speak. Thank you, Honorable Employee. The committee made the following recommendations. Upon consideration of the committee's observation, the committee came up with the following recommendations. 1, a CEC member in charge of water should stop and refrain from interfering and meddling with operations of EWASCO, and to only raise our views through the county government representative in the board of directors as per WASREP corporate guidelines and EWASCO memorandum and articles of association. Number 2, the chairman of the board of directors, Dr. Johannes Jagi Joka, adheres to the WASREP corporate guidelines 3.6, 4, and 5 that clearly stipulate the role of the chairman and the board, and the role of the chairman and the board, and commit to steer the board towards achieving the company's corporate goals without conflicts. Number 3, that the board of directors should stop interfering with the operations of the managing directors and corporate management team, CMT, and ensure that they stick to their mandate as spelled in the WASREP Corporate Governance Guidelines 2018 and the Companies Act of 2015. Number 4, that the board of directors do reinstate the suspended managing director, Engineer Felix G. Motora, forthwith to his position and ensure that he performs his duties and responsibilities seamlessly without interference. Number 5, that the board of directors progressively adheres to the provision of section 3.73 of WASREP Corporate Governance Guidelines 2018, which states that unless extra meetings and agenda are communicated and agreed functionally with the county water department, and recommended best practice is not to exceed 6 board meetings in a year. Recommendation number 6, that the management of EWASCO do conduct a human resource audit within 60 days after the adoption of this report, and ensure that the human resource manager steps aside to pave way for the audit for the audit to take place. Recommendation number 7, that the board, through the managing director, should install an enterprise resource planning system to improve operations of the company. We have 3 more to go. Recommendation number 8, that the managing director do ensure that the human resource manager, with immediate effect, faces disciplinary charges as per section 713 of EWASCO Human Resource and Procedures Manual 2021 for insubordination, causing unnecessary conflicts in the company, refusal to adhere to the lawful instruction from a senior, and blocking human resource audits sanctioned by the board. Recommendation number 9, that the managing director do ensure that the staff of Embu Water and the sanitation company are trained and their capacity is built in order to embrace changes in organization when they occur. And observation number 10, which is the last, recommendation number 10, which is the last, the committee recommended that the managing director do ensure that the staff of Embu Water and Sanitation Company adhere to the performance appraisals and contracting. Honorable Speaker, due to time constraints and the business before the House. In conclusion, the members of this committee, pursuant to Standing Order 193 of the County Assembly of Embu, adopted this report and hereby affix our signatures to affirm our approval and further urge this County Assembly to adopt the recommendations herein. The members, as said, are Honorable Nathan Kariuki Mwari, who is the Vice Chair, Jane Ann Mureithi, Member, Philip Uzangi, Member, Terry Wajabuchi, Member, Harrison Kisingu Mwaluko, Member, and Salesio Kemaronjero, Member. And the Chairman is Honorable Gishovi Gatumo John, who is the Chairman and the Member for Genda. Honorable Speaker, I don't have much to say because there's no time, and I would wish to give honorable members good time to deliberate on the same deliberations of this report, because we did it within the laws and the mandate of this committee. At this juncture, Honorable Speaker, I wish now to call Honorable John Gishovi to second the motion. I move.
Yes, Honorable Gishovi.
I second.
Second. Okay. I will propose the question that this Assembly adopt the report of the Sectoral Committee on Land, Physical Planning, Urban Development, Water Irrigation, Housing, Environment and Natural Resources on the management plans affecting the operations of the Embu Water and Sanitation Company, tabled in this Assembly on Wednesday, 1st December 2021. Yes, Honorable Maru.
I want to read the name of the end regarding these issues of EWASCO, and I hear Committee of Lands, whereby I'm a member. Mr. Speaker, it is very clear that we have conflicting interest in EWASCO because the company is doing very well, and both the board and the Department of Lands are trying to compete to size control because the company is quite lucrative, Mr. Speaker, from the observations which you have seen. Mr. Speaker, we have seen the board, even within a period of 6 months, 3 months, sorry, sitting 6 times, which are actually the mandatory time for the board to sit, not following the law. So, Mr. Speaker, after we were going through and interrogating these members, we actually saw EWASCO does not have a major problem. It's only that some people are getting into the company. They are trying to define and rule EWASCO and using some staff, and especially the human resource manager. Mr. Speaker, if you go further to that report, you see even the former managing director, Mr. Karugendo, was actually involved in a meeting, and I think when you're in business, ceasing an organization, unless you are called by the full board in the presence of the managing director where they want some advice, you're not supposed to be attending board meetings with board members in the absence of the MD, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is very surprising to see people not follow the law and seeing anarchy in the biggest corporate institution we have in Embu. People just poking their nose there to benefit Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've said there is a lot of interest, and especially on the financial gain, because some meetings were held in hotels. We were not affirmed the minutes. We requested for the minutes. We were not affirmed the minutes, so you even wonder how meetings can be held. People are demanding for their allowances. Then there's no business to show. And Mr. Speaker, what we learned is that EWASCO as a board group, where the board members should meet. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, is when on matters appraisal. You know, everybody knows how appraisals begin. You first appraise yourself, then sit with your senior, and then it progresses so that the best results can be found. But whereby some people are even forcing themselves to appraise junior staff members as members of the board, Mr. Speaker. I think that is not right. And Mr. Speaker, there was another complaint that it's like they want to employ some extra people. Mr. Speaker, for water companies, and the guidelines are very clear in WASCO, they are not treated as companies which are making profits because they are supposed to plow back any surpluses they make to extending these important services to the people. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this should be sent as a warning to both the board and those other people who are meddling with issues of EWASCO. My people of Mwe do not know when they will ever be supplied with water with this company, which is the largest company in Embu. We want to send this signal. If they don't cease, if they don't stop, when we are in this committee, we are going to make serious recommendations, and even we may recommend removal of some people because a company cannot fail funding because of people's interest. And Mr. Speaker, with that, because my people suffer a lot because of water, and we are supplied water sometimes by EWASCO, which does not reach our people very well. Our World Bank water was taken by EWASCO, we don't have it. I want to see the main company in Embu County being allowed to operate in the way companies operate, make the surplus, and continue supplying these commodity, which is a necessity to the residents of Embu. And with that, I support. Thank you.
Members of this committee, led by Honorable Ishovi, they have come up with very strong recommendations. Up to recommendation number 10. But Mr. Speaker, in recommendation number 1, it's my feeling that the name of the CEC member should be mentioned there because she is one of the people who are bringing chaos in that department. Madam Mr. Speaker, as it is mentioned in recommendation number 2, the chairman, his name is there. Yes. John is Jagi Joka. So I was expecting even the name of Jane Degi should appear in the recommendations so that we can know who is that member who is disturbing one of our main water provider, the Speaker. With that, the Speaker, I thank the committee and support the report.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I think Mr. Speaker, one of the happiest person for the report of this committee. Mr. Speaker, you remember I brought a motion here, although I erred by appointing another committee, and that's one I apologize that this committee is able to the task. So, first of all, Mr. Speaker, is to congratulate this committee, headed by Honorable Gatumo, and the members are very strong members who know the law, that they have been able to dig the problem in this company, and all of us, Mr. Speaker, nobody can doubt the recommendation of this committee. Mr. Speaker, when you talk about the government sponsored committees and the rest, sometimes you talk about embezzlement of funds, which are supposed to be brought back to so that it can provide the services to the people. Here in the EWASCO, we are not talking about the embezzlement of funds. The funds are there and they are being spent very well. Again, Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about that EWASCO is not providing services to Embu people or the community of Embu. The services are being provided very well. But the problem is about interest, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it seems that these people wanted to eat. That means to eat the money which is supposed to be brought back so that we can be able to extend water to Maburia, to Kiambere, to Moya, and the other areas, Mr. Speaker. So we are very happy that the committee and a very good balanced report that they went and saw where to strike, because we are not talking about investment of funds. The managing director who was suspended, Mr. Speaker, there's no way we are told that he has embezzled the company money. Neither have we seen the staff members saying that there's a problem in management. But just a few people, Mr. Speaker, want to interfere with the EWASCO. Mr. Speaker, it is very, very sad that a human resource manager, when he is transferred to a department, she can go and report to the CEC, then the CEC comes to interfere with the operations of the EWASCO. That is very wrong, Mr. Speaker. Which means, Mr. Speaker, the MD will not have powers even to transfer a meter reader from Kedemo to Mbere. That is very wrong, Mr. Speaker. Let's have all the procedures of the company. And that, Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank the committee, and I urge that these recommendations, when we adapt them, Mr. Speaker, they should be communicated, and we want to see the changes being made.
Yes.
When we recommend that the managing director should return to his position, we want to see it being done.
Yes.
Otherwise, we shall not sit down and allow people to embezzle the company. In the record, Mr. Speaker, EWASCO is one of the best performing companies in Kenya. I think it's among 2 or 3 companies in Kenya. Why should us bring politics in our company? The company which is locally owned by the county government. Let's leave the company to operate independently so that it can be able to give us better service. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, I thank the committee for allowing now to finish those problems.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, allow me to start by thanking the committee and the leadership of one Honorable John Atumo, his fellow members who have really done a very exemplary job that matters producing what is eating our one and only water service provider, which is owned by the majority of shares by the county government of Embu. Mr. Speaker, when I read this report, I started asking myself, what was the cause of all these fights? Because without identifying the cause, you cannot get the cure to that particular disease. Mr. Speaker, now that each and every one of us has the copy of the report, can see the cause through the observations of the committee. When you read the committee observations, the Speaker, you will be able to see what was causing all these squabbles, and the answer is one: money. The Speaker, when you hear a CEC member who is earning about 300,000 or 400,000 in a month, now, Mr. Speaker, again, the same CEC is running to interfere with the operations of a company which is non-profit making, but it is making big millions of money. Mr. Speaker, you're able to see that there is a cow which is being milked at the EWASCO, Mr. Speaker. There's so much milk. That is why, Mr. Speaker, they are all scrambling there, dividing for that milk. Mr. Speaker, on page 39, you will see one of the observations is that there was lack of attendance board meetings. When the people meet, they draw allowances. Mr. Speaker, cancellation of a board retreat without approval of the board. When you cancel a retreat, you prevented someone from milking the money. Mr. Speaker, when you go for a retreat, you are paid. Refusal to write instructions to do what? To draw money. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, financial inappropriate payment for demonstrations. You can imagine now, if we start paying people to go and demonstrate against our fellow staffs, so that, Mr. Speaker, you can compare them or try to create a new way, Mr. Speaker, for us to milk the money, Mr. Speaker, for the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, that particular CEC and the board of directors, Mr. Speaker, they really need to think twice. When you read, proceed with observations, refusal to respect instructions by the board, not to attend Mombasa retreat. Again, Mr. Speaker, when you break for a retreat, you milk the cash. Milk the cash from the EWASCO. Mr. Speaker, again, continued absenteeism from work while attending the Mombasa retreat. Again, Mr. Speaker, you can hear the cause. It is the money. Again, the retreat to Mombasa. When you read through, Mr. Speaker, you will see everything, Mr. Speaker, is surrounding the money. if we can eliminate the money factor, Mr. Speaker, from the operations of the EWASCO, everything, Mr. Speaker, will be running smoothly. But now, Mr. Speaker, we want to cure that disease. That should be the question. And Mr. Speaker, we are in a very critical time, Mr. Speaker. Especially when you know some of these members who are doing all this, Mr. Speaker, are on contract since they were appointed, Mr. Speaker, by the government, which took office from the August 2017, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they might be rushing, Mr. Speaker, towards cleaning and trying to grab everything that is in a EWASCO, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I am happy with the recommendations that the CC member in charge of water should stop and refrain from interfering and meddling with the operations of the EWASCO. Mr. Speaker, when that so powerful person, Mr. Speaker, even when he enters in the presence of this honorable House, Mr. Speaker, you can see that respect is seen. Now, Mr. Speaker, compare that particular person now getting to an office of an employee of EWASCO. That employee will freeze and agree to sign for that money to be released. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see that he is being compelled to stop from that interference, Mr. Speaker. Really, we have a very big problem, Mr. Speaker, with the board of directors. Mr. Speaker, I think the selection of the board of directors, one of the things that they consider is regional representation. Because EWASCO, Mr. Speaker, again, is a company for Embu County to supply water to the Embu community and the Bere community. That is why, Mr. Speaker, there is what we call regional balancing. But, Mr. Speaker, the directors, especially from the Bere region, Mr. Speaker, they are really letting us down. Because we have people who are representing us in the EWASCO, but we, the people of Bere side, Mr. Speaker, we are continuing with paying for dry pipes. We are continuing paying what we call standing charges of our meters, Mr. Speaker, without even a drop of water trickling from those pipelines, Mr. Speaker. And we find that particular person, Mr. Speaker, is the one who is being pushing for those retreats, Mr. Speaker, to Mombasa. Mr. Speaker, and I'm hearing some others are planning to become leaders. How can you become a leader when where you are, Mr. Speaker, you're failing the community? Mr. Speaker, I think those people, Mr. Speaker, they should also see the importance of why they were being picked and selected to represent their people in those particular offices. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see the chairman is being compelled to adhere to the one-step corporate guidelines, because the entire exercise is floating the laws that are guiding the operations of EWASCO. And Mr. Speaker, when these people go on strike, when the EWASCO structures are dead, the most affected people are ourselves, we the community of Embu County. Mr. Speaker, when the water, when that water is closed, when the water is cut, Mr. Speaker, by the EWASCO staff, even yourself, Mr. Speaker, you suffer. Because you are a resident of Embu County. So, Mr. Speaker, when we speak these things, Mr. Speaker, we are talking with some experience of some difficulties and the interference or inconveniences that we see from those particular people, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, one of the recommendations here that one board of directors do reinstate the suspended managing director, Engineer Felix Mutura, forthwith to his position and ensure that he performs his duties and responsibilities seamlessly without interference. I think, Mr. Speaker, the composition of the Committee on Water, it is comprised of well-experienced guys, well-educated, and, Mr. Speaker, people who are not biased, Mr. Speaker. Go, Mr. Speaker, I'm yet waiting to see, Mr. Speaker, when that particular director, Mr. Speaker, is reinstated as per the recommendations of the committee. Because even when he was there, Mr. Speaker, again, we were not receiving water on the lower side. So that is one of his barriers that, as a person, Mr. Speaker, I would recommend not for him not to be reinstated. So, Mr. Speaker, if he will be reinstated, maybe by a good luck, out of the resolutions of this committee, Mr. Speaker, I will call upon that particular director, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that that water is reaching the lower side of Embu. Area to which, Mr. Speaker, we shall go and mobilize our people without the payment now. We just uproot those pipes, we get their meters, and take it back to the offices at the Geretini. Because we cannot continue, Mr. Speaker, paying for those standing charges of meters without water. That's what, Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking with authority. And I am sure, Mr. Speaker, I can be able to mobilize my people to do that particular job. As a member of us. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank the wisdom with the leader of majority. He could foresee this. Only that he didn't follow the right procedure. He's an old man of this house, Mr. Speaker. And I would really wish to thank him for that, because it was an eye opener. Yes. Then finally, Mr. Speaker, now that we are about to break for Christmas, we have been talking of how the county government of Embu, Mr. Speaker, is likely to die or almost die, because the cry is all over. Not in EWASCO, not in hospitals. Food people, they have no food to eat. We pass the budget, Mr. Speaker, again with some funds to buy relief. No bursaries, Mr. Speaker. Budgets were passed. So, Mr. Speaker, you are left wondering where is this Jubilee government, Mr. Speaker, of Embu County, Mr. Speaker, is ending. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, as I sit and call upon honorable members and the entire community of Embu County, Mr. Speaker, to join in verse, so that we can have a governor, Mr. Speaker, who will be able, Mr. Speaker, to provide these things. A governor, Mr. Speaker, who is a good manager, will be able to ensure that procedures are well followed and even the set rules, so that we can be able, Mr. Speaker, to streamline services to the people of Embu County. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Honorable members in the Committee of Water, they have proved to us today their competence enough. I want to thank them, Mr. Speaker.
That they are capable, and with a capable chairman who is able to dispense his duties very well, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am happy. I went through the report very quickly, and one of the areas I noted, and I was happy to note, is that as the Assembly, we are a big stakeholder in the EWASCO, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, it is like the Assembly has not been doing its duties very well, Mr. Speaker, because it's hearing about 4,996, Mr. Speaker, shares within the company. It means that we have a big say, which we have been relying on, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, it is the high time that this Assembly comes up, Mr. Speaker, yes, and dispenses its duties properly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, not having played its duties well, Mr. Speaker, can see what has happened, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a director who has been being told, Mr. Speaker, by the CFT committee, Mr. Speaker, as a toy, Mr. Speaker. How do you give someone a job, Mr. Speaker, as a director, and you start micromanaging him, Mr. Speaker? Yes. Mr. Speaker, we gave somebody a job as a qualified personnel, Mr. Speaker, but we never let him to support to do his duties, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as the recommendation has indicated, Mr. Speaker, I also support that the director be reinstated immediately, Mr. Speaker, so that he can continue performing his duties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also to note, through the report, Mr. Speaker, we noted that the company, some members in the company had formed some cartels, Mr. Speaker, just to draw some money, as our minority leaders indicated, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if we want that company to grow, Mr. Speaker, we need to refrain, Mr. Speaker, from that, Mr. Speaker. There's no way we can give good services to our people, to our communities, Mr. Speaker, if our our key interest is to make money from the company, Mr. Speaker. Let those committees work properly, Mr. Speaker, so that we ensure that our people get the relevant services, Mr. Speaker. So that after you get the services, after we make the money, that is now the time maybe, Mr. Speaker, we can plan on what to do with it, Mr. Speaker. But let us refrain from micromanaging the company, Mr. Speaker. Let us give the director time to perform his duties, Mr. Speaker, so that we can enjoy the services that are needed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also to note, as we look at the issues, Mr. Speaker, it is important also, Mr. Speaker, to enhance the services, Mr. Speaker, especially on the charges and on the standing charges, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just the other day we stood here, Mr. Speaker, to discuss why the charges went up, the standing charges, the charges, Mr. Speaker, went up, Mr. Speaker, from 260 to 320, Mr. Speaker. It is very unfortunate that we are making our people to suffer out of nothing. Mr. Speaker, you consume air and you are supposed to pay 320, Mr. Speaker. To install that meter, Mr. Speaker, you are supposed to pay, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as the Assembly, as the committee, Mr. Speaker, let us look into those issues, Mr. Speaker, and make sure that our community, Mr. Speaker, gets the best services from our company as good as possible, Mr. Speaker. With that, Mr. Speaker, I do support.
Yes.
Ask a bit. Mr. Speaker, I will keep to my word that I'm always a man of very few words. However, today, Mr. Speaker, I feel a little bit heavy because, Mr. Speaker, the issues in EWASCO are stinking to the high heavens. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say without fear of contradiction that the problem in EWASCO is highly political by the county government of Embu through the CEC water herself, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it is very important that we also as a government respect our semi-autonomous organizations. Mr. Speaker, I want to say here that EWASCO is the biggest company that is owned by the county government of Embu. And Mr. Speaker, we are aware that this company enjoys a very fat account from members' deposits, those that are actually partakers of the services of EWASCO, that is the consumers of the water that EWASCO supplies, and other monies that come from the county government itself and other organizations that are good, well-wishers for the people of Embu County to have to be supplied with clean water. Mr. Speaker, I am a member of that committee. And Mr. Speaker, I can actually say that EWASCO as a company is facing wrangles once again because of political interest and lust for money. Mr. Speaker, there is also evidence of power struggles. And Mr. Speaker, you know, we are in an era whereby we have political transition from the current government to a new administration that is not known, because only God knows who the people of Embu will elect as government. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, so many people, Mr. Speaker, could be playing their own cards to look for soft landings, Mr. Speaker. And this could be a reason why EWASCO is suffering. Mr. Speaker, I'm just about to say that I have information that actually the current management, the acting management of EWASCO might be in court as we talk, Mr. Speaker, to seek court injunctions to stop the recommendations of this committee from being implemented, Mr. Speaker. And I'm sure the Honorable Court will respect the separation of powers and allow this House to do what it is supposed to do, to oversight over public entities that are funded and owned by the county government of Embu. We cannot have people who sit, Mr. Speaker, and always think about stealing from the public, Mr. Speaker, and run to court to seek indulgences, Mr. Speaker, so that they can continue killing our people with lust. Mr. Speaker, one reason why the committee was not able to recommend actually the removal of the directors, who some of the members here just fell short of saying some are politicians that could be using the company to seek campaign money. Mr. Speaker, it's just because there's a matter in court challenging their qualifications. And therefore discussing it in the committee and elsewhere, Mr. Speaker, would be sub judice. But if, Mr. Speaker, the committee was allowed, if this matter was not in court, Mr. Speaker, even the chairman of this company is not fit to sit in that position of a chairman. Because a person who disregards the law, a person who openly does things that are clearly not following the law, Mr. Speaker, then is not qualified to even lead that organization. However, Mr. Speaker, since this is a matter in court, I cannot discuss it further. And I cannot even discuss it, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker, there is evidence, Mr. Speaker, in the submissions by the witnesses that came before this committee, that the CEC, and I heard Honorable Masters complaining that the current MD has also not been able to supply water to the lower side. Makema Ward, Mr. Speaker, is the biggest victim and culprit. It is supposed to be served by EWASCO with water. It has never seen a single pipe, a single tap, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, perusing the evidence used by different people, you realize that the MD and his team were trying to actually, were in the final stages of having a strategic plan for the company, Mr. Speaker. And that is where now troubles started. When the CEC water actually created conflict in a stakeholders meeting, demanding that the strategic plan cannot continue like that until she is given 14 days retreat, Mr. Speaker, to go and look at a strategic plan. Yet she is represented in the board of directors, Mr. Speaker, by the chief officer water, who is a member of that by law of the board, Mr. Speaker, and the chief officer finance by law is a member of that board. That a CEC says, I have never seen this, it has never been seen, and we need 14 days retreat, Mr. Speaker, to discuss a strategic plan, Mr. Speaker. That tells you the problem is money.
Yes.
The problem is money, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, because I'm man of few words, and members have read what do we call it, the report, Mr. Speaker. I need to conclude by saying, Mr. Speaker, that the recommendation here in, Mr. Speaker, and actually, Mr. Speaker, allow me to disclose something else. That even, you remember there's a day, Speaker, a motion, or rather, this House resolved that EWASCO does stop all activities until such a time that this committee is through with the report and gives its recommendation. Mr. Speaker, they disregarded that report, that motion, and they say they do not even recognize the County Assembly of Embu. They are actually registered under the Companies Act, Mr. Speaker. They don't recognize the work, anything that is said by this County Assembly, Mr. Speaker. Yet they come to draw money from the county and they are owned 100% by the county government of Embu, Mr. Speaker. That shows you, Mr. Speaker, the level of disrespect, Mr. Speaker, with the management, the acting management, and that board of directors towards this county assembly and the stakeholders of this county. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I will say without fear of contradiction that this company requires these resolutions and even more for it to come out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Call upon the member to.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker, of this House are actually very supportive to all reports of this House that are truly positive and of county importance. Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank the office of the club that provided the secretariat towards the coming up with these reports. I also want to thank the office of the Sergeant at Arms and the hazard had also provided the necessary services that we needed. During the interrogation,
thank you very much, members. I want now to go to the question, which is that this assembly adopt the report of the Sectoral Committee on Land, Physical Planning, Urban Development, Water Irrigation, Housing, Environment and Natural Resources, on the management wrangles affecting the operations of the Embu Water and Sanitation Company tabled in this assembly on Wednesday, 1st December 2021, and will as many as of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Yeah, so honorable members, the recommendation in our report should be implemented forthwith, and this assembly will not take any delay in implementation of what the county assembly has resolved. The resolutions of this house must be taken seriously, and we won't dictate on implementation of the same.
yes.
Then the committee, after 60 days, the committee on implementation should take up the matter and report to this house to what extent they say the recommendations have been implemented. Therefore, the two committees, the Committee on Water and Implementation, should find a formula of working together so that we achieve what we have approved. We cannot sit to watch the EWASCO does